Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Twisted News, where we get you caught up on the strangest true crime stories that are currently happening all around the world. Today, we're looking into a violent story down in Texas that has a serial killer who should have been locked up roaming the streets. And then, we finally unveiled the true identity of the man from the only unsolved airplane hijacking case in United States history, D.B. Cooper. Get ready for scary mysteries, twisted news. Number 1. The serial killer that was set free. In May of 2023, when the phone was answered down at the Austin Police Department, an eerily calm voice on the other end of the line said, "I think you're looking for me." It was suspected serial killer Raul Meza Jr., who was about to not only admit to one killing, but also set in motion a series of revelations that would horrify the people of the great state of Texas. His arrest for multiple murders was just the tip of the iceberg, and what would become a deep dive into a suspected serial killer's past. Meza confirmed that he was the person who brutally strangled 65-year-old Gloria Lofton back in 2019, when Meza entered her home and a brutal fight ensued, leaving signs of a thrashing all over Lofton's house. Once in custody, he then confessed to the murder of Jesse Fraga, an 80-year-old former probation officer, in 2023. Yet, these heinous acts were potentially just fragments of a much larger, more sinister puzzle. Law enforcement, diligently piecing together the grim past of Meza's crimes, started poring over cold case files where ultimately they suspect his involvement in up to 10 other homicides. The search for truth led them to issue a search warrant for Meza's Google account, covering a period from November 1st of 2016 to May 29th of 2023. They hoped to uncover evidence tying him to a cold case from 2018 and at least 2 other homicides in San Antonio. But the biggest issue, as I see it in this entire story, is that not only could a large number of these murders have been avoided, but they most definitely should have been, as Meza had an extensive criminal history. And going back to 1982, he was caught and tried for the assault and strangulation of an 8-year-old girl outside an Austin elementary school. For some reason, after he was found guilty, he only received 30 years for the crime, and unbelievably, because he was such a model prisoner apparently, after 11 years he was released. He then bounced around Texas trying to start a new life, but every town he went to, the people weren't having it. And they picketed and pushed him out, and ultimately his freedom was short-lived as he violated parole in 1994, only to be released again in 2002 and remain on parole until 2016. Investigators believe Meza continued his reign of terror after his supervised release ended in 2016. The search warrant stated that data associated with his Google account could corroborate his involvement in the murders of Gloria Lofton, Jesse Fraga, and an admitted shooting in San Antonio, as well as other cold case homicides. One such case was the tragic death of Nicole Coleman, a college student whose naked body was discovered in a wooded area of Austin back in 2018. And she had been a bright student, with a 4.0 GPA, dreaming of a future as a writer and poet, but that never happened because Meza was set free. Apparently, Meza made that phone call in May because he felt the police were close to catching him. And in a desperate attempt to avoid the death penalty, he decided to admit to his actions. But you have to wonder if a twisted man who has terrorized the city of Austin and Texas for decades and taken so many lives deserves anything in the way of leniency. The state of Texas messed it up once before, and so hopefully this time around, they get it right. Number 2. D.B. Cooper's case blown wide open. In the gloomy, overcast skies of a Thanksgiving Eve back in 1971, the man, known to the world as D.B. Cooper, crafted a plan so insane and it's become one of the most popular American heist stories of all time. He successfully pulled off an action-adventure movie-style hijacking and has eluded authorities for over 50 years. But now, finally, it appears like the case of D.B. Cooper and who this man actually was has been figured out, and it's all thanks to a single item of clothing, a tie. As the Northwest Orient Airlines plane hummed through the skies south of Seattle back in '71, Cooper, dressed in a suit, removed his J.C. Penney clip-on tie, a small gesture preceding his dramatic leap into infamy. And this tie, found later on seat 18E, will become a key piece in this puzzle years later. Enter Eric Eulis, an amateur sleuth driven by an unwavering resolve to solve the D.B. Cooper mystery. With the tenacity of a seasoned detective, Eulis has embarked on a journey through the depths of this cold case, guided by the belief that with all the advancements in crime technology, perhaps another look into the case with fresh eyes could unearth something. Despite facing the walls of bureaucracy and an uncooperative FBI, Eulis' determination never faltered. He went through all the evidence and paperwork in D.B. Cooper's file that he could get his hands on, which was a lot in this case. And Eulis' breakthrough finally came from an unexpected source, a decades-old scientific report. Going through it led him to a fragment, a minuscule piece of evidence that shone like a diamond in the rough. A particle containing both stainless steel and titanium that came from Cooper's tie. And this clue was the thread Eulis needed to pull, unraveling a connection to the Crucible Steel Company of Pennsylvania, a titan in the metal industry of the 1960s. The plot thickened as Eulis, using U.S. patent information, linked the particle fragments to Crucible Steel's operations in Pittsburgh and their significant role as a supplier for Boeing's aircrafts. This detail was more than mere coincidence, as it made sense, pointing to a potential insider who had deep knowledge of Boeing 727s, the very model Cooper hijacked. And poring over historical records and tracking the now defunct company's assets, Eulis' investigation led him to a person of interest, a titanium research engineer from Pittsburgh whose presence in Seattle around the time of the skyjacking was more than just happenstance. This man, who passed away in 2002, then became the center of Eulis' investigative crosshairs. The D.B. Cooper case, notorious as the only unsolved commercial airline hijacking in U.S. history, has long been a source of fascination and frustration. Cooper, who boarded Flight 305 without identification because you could do that back then, leveraged his intricate knowledge of aircraft and parachutes to orchestrate his heist. With $200,000 and multiple parachutes in hand, he vanished into the night sky, and where he landed, no one knows. Decades passed, with the only significant leads being a placard from the emergency exit door found by a hunter in 1978, and 3 packets of the ransom money discovered by a child in 1980 in the woods. Eulis is convinced that 2024 will be the year that brings closure to this enduring mystery for good. Some more testing needs to be done, but he says he has the man marked down, and in time it will all come to light. The journey of Eric Eulis, it appears, armed with modern technology and a relentless drive, may finally lead us to the unmasking of the enigmatic D.B. Cooper. So there were 2 of the most violent and enduring mysteries that we have for you guys today. I'm Andrew. I want to thank you for tuning in. And if you like this and want more exclusive and darker content from us, check out our Patreon. And plus over there is an entire library you get access to. Thanks again for all the support and for stopping by today. See you guys in the next one.